come meet me. I'm at...
Yeah. Keep your panties on. I see ya already. Be right there.
We've played a sizable chunk of Devil May Cry 5 and we're absolutely loving the game so far. It's stylish, it's frenetic, it's fun, and though there are plenty of familiar elements to series fans, it's an extremely welcoming title to potential new fans as well. One thing that surprised us playing through the first 11 missions was how much we enjoyed playing as V, a very mysterious new figure and the third playable character alongside Nero and Dante. We actually think V's playstyle might be our favourite of the bunch. Here are 6 reasons you might just agree with us. Time to go to work. It's exciting to think that the story of Devil May Cry 5 carries on from previous iterations, and it's the furthest along we've ever been in the Devil May Cry timeline. Interestingly, Capcom has also revamped and revised that timeline slightly and tweaked the official chronology of the other Devil May Cry games. Whereas before Capcom stated that 5 took place only after DMC2, the games are now said to occur in the following order: 3, 1, 2, 4 and 5. While a lot of fans have always assumed / pretended that DMC2 wasn't canon and or didn't exist, this now confuses things a little bit further. There's a good chance this won't really be addressed in 5 though, so best not to worry about how Dante escaped hell, just know that technically, at one point in the apparently official timeline, he did. DMC5 does its best not to swamp new players with convoluted lore, and really, you don't need to have played any of the previous games in order to jump straight in. Dante is a legendary demon hunter who runs a demon hunting business, Trish and Lady are his business associates, Nero is his nephew and sort of rival who runs his own demon hunting business out of the back of a van with his inventor friend Nico, and they've all been hired by a very mysterious individual called V to take down a dangerous demon known only as Urizen. Urizen easily defeats Dante at the very start of the game, meaning Nero and V have to retreat. But soon they're back in the game and trying to halt the spread of Urizen's forces, currently feeding on human blood and taking over Redgrave City.
V, what the hell are you?
So Dante and Nero are fairly familiar to Devil May Cry fans by this point, and we've met Lady and Trish before. But who are these new characters? Well, Nico is apparently the granddaughter of Nell Goldstein, a character from the Devil May Cry novel and creator of Dante's ebony and ivory handguns. Seems like weapon crafting runs in the family. V, on the other hand, is much more enigmatic. All we really know about him is that he hired Dante to take down a demon, presumably because he's too weak to fight it himself. But though V doesn't physically fight, he has plenty of tricks up his sleeve, which is impressive given that that jacket doesn't have any. V also seems to really like reading. In particular, he quotes William Blake near constantly, which is interesting given Nico also has words from William Blake's poem Eternity tattooed on her. William Blake's work is in keeping with the themes of Devil May Cry though. He was always interested in the duality between heaven and hell and the nature of man to fail and to fall. Blake was also an artist and created several illustrations based on the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, which as we already know was a pretty huge inspiration on Devil May Cry as well. Keep an eye out for Blake as a recurring and pretty important presence in the final game. Many DMC fans theorise that V may be an established series character in disguise or a personification of their power, someone like Mundus, Virgil, Arkham or Sparta. And whoever he really is, why does he want the demon Urizen out of the picture? It's possible the poems he recites may hold the key to his true identity.
Lady and Trish.
I'll leave the rest to you.
What? Whoa, my, V. All the way down here and turn into really?
One must always have an insurance policy.
Who was that guy?
So as mentioned, V is very different from Dante or Nero in that he seems to be quite physically weak. While Dante and Nero possess actual demon powers and energy within them, V's power in battle comes from a pact he made with 3 demons, who he summons to fight for him. These 3 demons are Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare. In a neat little callback, or perhaps even something more meaningful, all 3 of these demons take the name of enemies or bosses in the original Devil May Cry game. These demons, when not summoned, reside somewhere on V's body, in the form of a tattoo for Griffin and Shadow, and in the form of a darker hair colour for Nightmare. V's natural hair colour is white blonde, as you see when Nightmare leaves him to fight on the battlefield. When Shadow or Griffin are fighting, you can see that their corresponding tattoo disappears from V's body. This means that without his demonic pact, V would look very different to how he appears here. Is he hiding something? Well, most likely.
You could defeat Urizen. Then I never would have dreamed of using that child.
V's 3 demons each bring something unique to combat. Griffin is basically your long-range attacks as he fires lasers at enemies from afar. He's also mapped to the dodge button, as he'll swoop in and lift V out of the way whenever he's in danger. Shadow is your melee attack button, as you can use his ability to turn into blades or spikes to chain combos and juggle enemies. Taking or dealing damage will fill your Devil Trigger gauge, and when this is filled to level 3 or more, you'll be able to summon Nightmare, who crashes onto the scene and fights by your side until the Devil Trigger gauge depletes. The interesting thing about all 3 demons though is that they can fight V's battles, but they are unable to actually kill any of your enemies. So though V has a shorter health bar and far less knockback resistance than both Dante and Nero, he must get into the middle of the action to actually finish his fights. This adds a uniquely strategic layer to DMC5's combat, where you'll have to dodge in and out of fights, escaping and evading where necessary and delivering the final blows with V's cane. It's anything but slow paced. You can upgrade and strengthen V's demons as the game progresses, buying new moves, combos, powers and skills from Nico. One skill we bought fairly early on allowed V to control Nightmare while he rode along on top of him, which would help keep V from danger. Griffin and Shadow have their own health bars when they're fighting and separate from V, and if these are allowed to deplete completely, it'll take them a while before they can recharge and come back into combat. The closer V is physically to the demons as they recharge, the faster they'll heal. And if you want to quickly fill your Devil Trigger gauge, read a book. V will wander around the battlefield and gain inspiration from his tome, but this does make him move a lot slower and leave him very vulnerable to attack, so it's best to only use this if you really have to. The thing is, when you think of the combat as not being performed by V himself, you imagine that that will mean it isn't as involved as the combat of the other characters. But that isn't true. You're still inputting attacks yourself, you're still looking for openings and combos, and in fact, there are more elements to be aware of than if it were simply V himself fighting. You need to be aware of his placement, you need to be aware of Shadow and Griffin's. You now have 3 health bars to keep an eye on, and it's great that each character's playstyle can feel so distinct. Nero has his Wire Snatch and Devil Breakers, Dante has his 4 playstyles and small arsenal of long and short range weapons, and V has a menagerie of animals that require their own finesse to master. Plus, his combat is just undeniably stylish. There are some gorgeous animations, and it's only going to get more inventive the more moves you unlock. Then, to add an extra layer of controlled chaos, there's the cameo system. This is a sort of asynchronous multiplayer system that Capcom has added to DMC5, whereby during some missions, characters that you aren't currently playing as will show up to battle with you side by side. Though these may sometimes seem to be simply AI characters, they could actually be other players in the DMC player community, perhaps even people on your friends list. Basically, DMC5 players can make guest cameo appearances in each other's games in real time, or through ghost data gameplay recordings, during specific missions in the game's main campaign. Depending on the mission, you might see another player in the background, or you'll actually be fighting side by side. After the mission is finished, you can rank your helper based on how stylish they were. No pressure then. But if you consistently rank highly, you'll get rewards like gold orbs, so there's definitely an incentive other than pride to spur you on. It'll be interesting to see how the characters fight side by side, and it could be helpful to see how other players utilise their different playstyles in a variety of ways. Since every character, including V, is versatile in their own way, it's potentially very useful to be able to see what other players make of them and how you can switch up your own combos for better rankings. So, what do you think of V? Is he too much of a change up to DMC's usual style? Is he a breath of fresh air? Or can you just not get over the questionable footwear? Let us know who you're most keen to play as in the comments below, and check out some of our other videos, which should be on screen now. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon if you'd like to see more daily videos from Eurogamer. But if not, thanks for watching this one. Bye!